this video may not be for you, and that's okay. So, if you've encountered this channel before, then you know the longest running project on here is the furry fandom iceberg, and that's kind of what sparked this entire video, to be honest. A couple weeks ago, I don't remember exactly when, I received this comment on the first part of that iceberg. Now, in the introduction to that video, I lay down some ground rules for that entire iceberg series. You know, it's supposed to be 10 layers, about 25 to 50 entries per layer. It's just kind of a pet project of mine because I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for, so I decided I would be the one to make it. I also comment in that intro, I'm going to be removing certain entries from other people's icebergs. My iceberg is largely a creation of my own, at least as we get further down the iceberg, but for the first half or so, the stuff that's been published as of this video going up, a lot of it has been borrowed from a couple of other icebergs. They're the top ones when you Google or search on Reddit for furry fandom icebergs, and they're the ones that have been covered multiple times on YouTube by other content creators. I also reference other content creators specifically and say, hey, if you want to check out these, go check out these videos about them. Now, the heart of what the commenter is getting at, I think, I asked for clarification and they never responded. They say, you just removed anything interesting, didn't you? This is really fascinating to me. So thank you, original commenter, for inspiring this. It was also inspired by some conversations that I've been having with other people recently about how on so many websites, YouTube included, those services essentially attempt to drill down on what our interests are and provide us more of the things that it thinks we will like. I truly believe that this shift from having to search out things that you're interested in, or, hearing about them by word of mouth, I think it has kind of created this paradigm where people expect that anything that comes across their feed on any of these platforms is supposed to be for them in some context. Now, this isn't the fault of any of the viewers, obviously. This is the design of these algorithms. It's trying to figure out what you want. A lot of times, it'll get it wrong. I think that leads to situations like this. Getting back to the original comment, in that introduction to the entire iceberg, I say, I am interested in looking at the neutral to positive aspects of the furry fandom. I have been online a long ass time, and I know that the majority of how the furry fandom is covered on the internet is negative. And a lot of the topics that people choose to discuss are, well, negative. The people who are often discussed are literal criminals, bad actors. When this commenter said that I just removed anything interesting, I think that what they're saying is my interest in the furry fandom extends to these things that you chose not to include, which is fine. I'm not at all condemning this person for finding entertainment in that. I just personally do not find entertainment in that, and I'm choosing to create content that I would find entertaining to consume. That's essentially the long and short of it. However, in all likelihood, if you have found my channel specifically through the furry fandom iceberg, it's probably because you have engaged with either furry content and or iceberg content on YouTube. The YouTube algorithm has seen that you have an interest in those things, and it is trying to serve you more of them. My video series is a marriage of those two things. So if you have both interests, I would argue you're probably even more likely to be served my video series. With these algorithmic recommendations, when it serves you something up, it's basing it off of your interactions. It does not care if those interactions are positive or negative. If you mouse over a video that it's recommended to you, you can hit the 3 dots and say, don't show me anything from this creator, or I'm not interested in this video. That helps it narrow down further what you're interested in and what you're not. But if you're actually going onto a video page at all, that is engagement. If you dislike a video, that is engagement. If you comment on a video, that's one of the highest forms of engagement you can probably give it. If you are somebody who's seeking out furry content, or who's been served furry content, and you're engaging with the videos in any capacity, YouTube is going to try to show you more furry content. In the short amount of time services like YouTube have been using this sort of algorithmic recommendation, we have swapped so hard from word of mouth and having to seek things out on our own to assuming that everything that comes across our YouTube homepage, our For You page on TikTok, that those things are somehow intended for us. Instead of just disengaging and walking away, we now have a tendency to engage with it and say, I don't like this, while at the same time misunderstanding that when you say, I don't like this, the algorithm is understanding, I want more of this. I don't really know what the solution to this is. I don't even know if this is a problem that needs a solution. I don't even know if this is necessarily a problem. I'm more just bringing this up as a talking point. I'm curious to know what you all think. I more so just find this, like I said, I've said it I don't know how many times in this video, fascinating, because I'm not the type of person at all to look at a scenario and compare it to when I was younger, say when I was a child, and then pearl clutch and say, oh my, look at how the world has gone to shit. I am much more interested in looking at patterns throughout history. And I recognize that when I see something different between 2003 and 2023, that difference is probably largely based off of my perspective shift between being like a preteen and somebody in their 30s. All of that to say, I think that humans are definitely creatures of habit. I think that humans repeat patterns throughout all of recorded history and likely long before recorded history. I think that in a lot of ways, our behavior has not changed fundamentally in a long time. So a lot of the ideas of like shortening attention span, Gen Z and Gen Alpha being terrible students and things like that, I think that that's all bullshit. I think a lot of those situations can be basically explained away due to perspective, often due to your age or your station in life when you're observing something at two different points, or through systemic issues. I don't think that fundamentally a Gen Alpha kid is that different from me when I was the same age as them. It's just that the influences that have been placed on them are different. So bringing it back to the original point, I find it fascinating this compulsion exists where I didn't necessarily observe it previously. I think that there may be an inborn want to have your opinion always known and heard and validated. I mean, shit, I'm making this video right now. I thought that this was an interesting enough thing that I wanted other people to hear it and comment with their opinions on it. I'm literally doing the thing right now. This opinion has been developed throughout my 20s and into my 30s, and likely it's just a perspective thing. Likely this is just an exacerbation of a habit or a tendency that humans have like always have, and I just wasn't aware of when I was younger. I'd be very curious, especially from older people with more experience than me, you know, maybe people in their like 40s, 50s, 60s. If anybody watches me who's in those age brackets, what is your take on this based off of your perspective? And for just generally speaking, anybody of any age, what do you think about this? Wrapping it back around, everything that I produce might not be for you. You might not vibe with my music, my furry iceberg videos. You might not vibe with my stream highlights. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay, because there are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of hours of video uploaded to the site per day. I suppose at the end of the video, I appreciate anybody who made it this far. This is probably really rambly even after I cut it down. If you like the video, please drop a like. If you dislike it, please dislike it. Like I said, any sort of engagement is engagement for the YouTube algorithm. I'd be super curious about other people's opinions on this. This is a really just fascinating topic to me. Also, for anybody who's been watching me before, what do you think about these like less scripted, just talky videos? This one's just kind of been like sticking in the back of my brain for a little while as something that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't necessarily want to talk about it on stream. I thought it would do better as a standalone video. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing more stuff like this. Thank you everybody for watching. You're beautiful, and somebody loves you, and bye.